If you've ever driven through northern Michigan and spotted a massive animal with huge antlers crossing the road, don't be surprised if your car's alarm didn't go off because you weren't alone. Hundreds of elk now call Michigan's Upper Peninsula home, but no one seems to know exactly how many. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources hopes to change that. They're adding 200 cameras to track the lower peninsula's elk population and add to its regular aerial surveys. Every other year, the DNR flies over the lower peninsula's elk country for 8 days to count the herds. But there's a problem. Elk are really only easy to track in the fall when they're looking for mates. Outside of that, they're elusive. So the DNR does its surveys in the winter. Significant snow makes it easier to spot elk, but Michigan's whiplash winters can be unpredictable. The last aerial survey in 2024 only had a plus or minus 262 margin of error. That means the actual elk population could be anywhere from 884 to 1,408 animals. And that's not good enough for the DNR. In fact, the department wants to reduce the population to somewhere between 500 and 900 elk. That's why the DNR is installing 200 cameras across northern lower Michigan. The cameras will snap photos of any elk that wander in front of them. Each camera has an infrared motion sensor. When triggered, it takes a photo. If an elk walks by, the camera will snap a photo. This will happen for 3 summers, from 2025, 2026, and 2027. The project is expected to cost about $86,000 and will cover 1,100 square miles of elk habitat. That's roughly the size of New York City. These cameras aren't just being placed in state-owned forests. The DNR is also putting them on private property. Elk can cause significant damage to crops and human development. The DNR says elk dissecting has also become an issue. The animals can become accustomed to human food and then display aggressive behavior. There were 3 reports of the elk charging at people. Elk were hunted to extinction in Michigan in the late 1800s. They were brought back in 1918. Today, Michigan's elk population is rebounding nicely. The animals once again disappeared from Michigan after the severe ice storm this past spring. The ice storm turned thousands of acres of forest into what experts call a toothpick forest. But that could actually help the elk. When most of the wild blueberries and other food sources are wiped out, elk are forced to the ground to eat the low-growing plants that do survive. And those plants happen to be growing beneath the newly downed trees. So while the ice storm devastated Michigan's forests, it may have created a buffet for elk. The DNR hopes to have the new camera system in place by the end of this year. The department will also begin analyzing teeth taken from harvested elk this fall and winter to help estimate the population. The last time Michigan analyzed elk teeth was in 2011. At some point, the DNR may switch to doing this survey every 3 to 5 years instead of every other year. That would save the department money and resources.